Twitter also. So we'll see.
So we'll probably be able to see the comment. Oh, but you meant Noel as far as being able to interact with him now.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, we are live. So hello, everyone. I'm Jared D. King. This is the BoyFriends Rewatch. And, apologies if this is looking a little crazy on Instagram or, any other vertical streaming platforms. I'm trying to make this look okay. But if you're in the chat, please send me a little something so that we know that you can see us. Let me just double check. Double check that we're actually live on Instagram. That you can see us.
Wait.
Let me just double check.
I'm gonna mute you. I can see. Oh, I froze.
I don't see anything, but maybe I have to click go live in Instagram in order to make it happen. I don't freaking know. We got 2 people watching though, so hey, I will take that. Let me click.
Noel.
It's me.
Is it you?
No.
Oh, goodness.
Not on Instagram at all. I'm watching my phone.
All right. Well, I have Instagram up now. So we're gonna figure that we're gonna just roll with this.
Rewatch.
Oh, you have it up now?
Oh, I don't have it open, but I have a notification.
Okay. Yeah, because I just clicked it. So thank you guys for sticking with me because we're trying to figure out this whole live streaming thing. I haven't live streamed since my Boys and Brunch days. So yeah, it's a little different. But I have another screen up. Okay, I see my good friend Natasha saying that we're on IG and Twitter. Good. We should be good. Hopefully, let me know how we're looking on Instagram because this is horizontally distributed, and I know Instagram is like very much a vertical thing. So hopefully it's not awful. But anyway, we're gonna go through this first episode of the new season of BoyFriends. I'm super excited. I was a little nervous kind of putting this episode out there because I mean, you're kind of putting your business out there, it's like with every episode, you are being vulnerable and you hope that it's going to be received the right way. Noel, you know that when we put stuff out there, it's not always taken in the way that we necessarily mean it or yeah. You look like you had something to say.
No, it's true. You putting ourselves out there is like, you're all vulnerable to have people comment on the things you say. Sometimes because it's so quick, sometimes I don't think before I say some stuff. Sometimes when I think back, I'm like, oh, could I said that differently? But then the whole point of this whole podcast is to find your circle, find your man, find your friends. So what better way to be vulnerable, to let people know who you are as a person. And I was telling Greg this before, I'm like, the feedback that I've gotten even being out at a bar or in a neighborhood, it's so nice because people get to see who you really are, on camera.
Right. Absolutely.
I guess the difference there too is obviously within a private space with close friends, if you misspeak or something, you could easily rectify. People know what you mean. So again, I'm new to this, but I can totally see how people are going to take what's presented here and misconstrue it or do whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
When it's one-on-one with somebody you know and love, it's definitely a safer space.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's what we signed up for. So here we go. We're just gonna get into this episode, and if anybody has comments or questions or anything in the chat, let me know. If any of us have anything to say, we're just gonna pause it and we're just gonna talk.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we're gonna run this, and we'll see if this works. And if you like it, we'll do it again. And if not, this will never happen again.
Right, so I've not had a chance to re-listen or rewatch it, and I really can't remember half of what I said. So this should be cute.
Face or something. Yeah. Welcome to the BoyFriends podcast, where we help you find your circle
and your man.
I'm Jared D. King, and we are back with another season. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. And we have a new host. So wait, why don't we get a little introduction from you before we jump in everything?
Yeah, so my name is Greg. I'm a creative director for a toy company. My background is in graphic design, so I'm definitely in like the creative world. I work a lot with kids.
What's your favorite color?
It's definitely not pink. It's hot pink. They're two very distinct different shades.
It's hot pink?
Yes, it's hot fuchsia.
Hot fuchsia.
All right, really, first of all, I do want to bring up the fact that you have this pink background right now. Like, what is going on?
Oh, so I'm so excited. I just like on like a whim. Well, my plan is, so reviews are coming up and like I'll have like a bonus check and whatnot. My plan is to like redo my like living room, but I obviously want to be thoughtful about it. So I literally just bought these light bulbs that you can control with like an app. And so like I every night I've been like doing like a different like mood or vibe. Let's see what happens. Oh, that didn't change anything. So that's why you're getting.
So we're getting a whole hot pink moment right now.
My app is not working, and none of the colors are like responding or changing. So that's cute.
Well, it looks like you're not. Looks like I'm not the only one who's having technical difficulties tonight. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But Shay Bug is saying hi, Greg. Welcome aboard.
What's up, Shay Bug?
All right, let's jump back into this episode.
This is what my doctor told me last time I went for my labs.
As you can see, Renee and Mike are no longer with us as full-time hosts, but hopefully they can jump in on a few episodes as guests, and we can get some updates from them. Noelle, what's been going on with you lately?
God, it's been a long time.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I went back to school. I went to school.
Okay.
I'm in school.
Okay.
I'm in school.
Nice.
Doing some college prereqs before getting into a new career down the line. Into human services. Starting like a guidance counselor, counseling therapist role eventually. Just mapping out the next 20 years of my life.
Happy to hear about the progression or the growth, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because like this past year for me has been one of growth, has been one of just like a lot of change. I mean, we're definitely going to get into it a little bit now because like our topic today is friendship breakups. The stuff that I had kind of dealt with in the past year, I guess, I don't know, it's kind of shifted some perspective for me. So, we're going to jump into that as well. Have you guys recently gone through any friendship breakups or anything like that? Anything recently? What about you, Greg?
As far as recently, I mean, yes and no. Like, it was a dude I was kind of hanging out with. So it wasn't like a relationship. Therefore, it wasn't a relationship breakup, but it was also like kind of like a friendship breakup. And it was more so like this individual just was like, very admittedly from the beginning, like wasn't great like at regular like communication. And then at one point he's like, I think it's best if we just be friends. I'm like, okay, cool. And then after that, like the efforts to like keep in touch would just be like random, like, hey, what's going on? Like texts like 2 weeks later, like nothing was there. And I'm like, I'm not interested in that. So like it wasn't like a ghosting situation, wasn't a breakup, but I was like, I'm just matching the energy you're giving me. So this sounds like petty, but like I hadn't heard from him in a while, which is fine. I was driving home, I think after Christmas, I was like, oh, it's funny, I haven't heard from him in a while. And the next day he texted me. I was like, oh, like this long auto message, like, you're so great. You're better than Christmas is not about Jesus and Mariah Carey. Christmas is about you. And I was like, what is this?
That's a compliment.
It is. But I would just like, and I have the audio. I can play it for you later. Really nice guy, really like well-intentioned. But I was just like, I don't
Okay, I'm going to pause there.
So like, this sounds petty as
I'm going to pause there. Do you have the audio? I want to hear the audio.
I do. Maybe that's something I'll share with you like off camera.
Okay.
I'll send to the group when we get off. I have like a recording of it. I'm not gonna like put that in class in the event that they're listening. Because I mean I do respect them. I was just like, I'm good. That's all.
I honestly, when you said that, I meant to like get it and like put it into the podcast. You said you probably wouldn't have gone for that, would you? That's fine.
Here's the deal. Like, I treat this situation like I treat like watching The Real Housewives. Like, I enjoy the drama. I enjoy the mess. I don't want to be a part of it in my real life. So at that point, like, yes, it's funny. And with close personal friends, I'll joke about it. And we're like, can you believe what this bitch said? and it's cute, but like on a greater platform, like I don't need to be messy and like throwing people under the bus and out there. Like that's just not my energy. So like if we're good friends, I'll share with you guys after the podcast. How about that? Or after our recording.
Yeah. All right. It seemed like a missed opportunity
It
for
did.
me to get a little bit more mess on the table. But hey, it's okay. We got enough of it in this episode anyway.
Maybe with our next section, maybe the mess will impress.
All right, let's let me run this back in.
Hell.
Oh, hold on. Here we go.
But I like waited 19 days because that's how long it took him to text me, and I just said Happy New Year.
Did he respond at all
Yeah.
to that? Okay.
He like if I kept in touch with him, like he would respond, but I was
Okay.
like I kind of just like removed myself,
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a true like breakup, but it was
Yeah.
just like I don't.
Sometimes that's how you kind of have to like back out of situations like slowly.
Yeah.
Pause real quick,
The
Jared.
big one for me last
Sure.
year was I had
Funnily enough, I don't know how this didn't pass my mind. You will never guess. Wait, what's today? Monday. It was either Saturday or Sunday. That individual reached out to me again.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
18th. I texted them mid to end of January, so it's been like I was just like I assumed we were like done and like good. Like I have no like bad blood about it, but I was like I'm good. And so he actually just recently reached out to me. So it's like I wonder if like I'm speaking his name to the universe and he's receiving that and he's like, "Hey, what's up?"
That's hilarious. I mean, I feel like sometimes when you put stuff out there, that's why I'm careful about who I talk about and what I say, because I'm like, I don't need certain energies coming back to me. But it's,
It was just odd. It's really odd cosmic timing. Like Christmas, I was like, funny, I haven't heard from him like next day. And then mentioning that on the podcast. And then like when a week later after we recorded, it's like, it's just so interesting. Sorry. Forgot to I buried that lead.
It's all good.
had a good friend. We had bought tickets to go see Beyonce. And it was funny because we had like some issues prior to the concert actually coming up. And so by the time the concert comes, we haven't spoken for like a month. Basically, the situation was I had a friend prior to him who did not treat me very well, and he knew all this stuff. And then he moved out and then like intentionally became friends with him. It felt like a betrayal to me. I tried explaining it. I feel like I went through all the right steps to try to like work through it. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't hearing me, or he thought I was being dramatic or whatever. Which I am accused of very often. I don't know why.
What?
I'm not dramatic.
No.
I mean, the optics of that situation aren't great. Like, obviously, I don't know either those individuals or like the real specifics, but I'm just like that's shitty.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I like you guys have helped me like actually say what it was, because I was not going to like divulge all of that, because it's just like because like when you're recording a podcast, you have to kind of go over some old stuff that kind of happened, and normally if I weren't recording this, that kind of stuff would have been over and done with and in the past, and it wouldn't be brought up again, but because some of the topics and stuff are touching on stuff that we kind of go through, it kind of has to come up, we kind of have to talk about it. So yeah, hopefully everybody can kind of like learn or glean something from our experiences. It's like, it's no intention of being messy and like dragging anybody's name through the mud, but it's just I guess it's just kind of like our sides of our stories. Yeah, did you guys have anything else to add before I went on? Okay, cool. No. We are going to continue.
It makes a statement, whether it's genuine or planned or whatever it is. It's still it says something.
Yeah.
Like how long was this friendship?
This is about 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, or like a year and a half, something like that. It was like, yeah. And I still think about it sometimes. I guess I'm still kind of mourning the friendship a little bit. I think it takes a while to get over those things.
I'm still mourning a friendship that I lost maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a really good friend of mine that he was involved with a partner at the time. We gotten close. This is with a former ex-boyfriend of mine. They broke up. Then my friend found another guy who was amazing, like sweetheart, like gorgeous, funny. He and I would always text back and forth like memes. Became like, I would say, like my first bromance, because he wasn't like typical, like not typical gay, but like very just like very straight acting, just like I felt like there was no underlying things, like no sexual tension, like he didn't think I was hot or vice versa. I mean, of course he was gorgeous, but like
I will say there's a sparkle in your eye when you're talking about him.
because he was like, he meant a lot to me, because I felt like I had a genuine friend with no intentions. Like we were talking about wedding stuff. Like I'll be in his wedding. We've cried together on the beach about our relationship, stuff like that. And I guess my friend felt the jealousy of our friendship forming, and he stopped that. And I think because my friend felt he had to go with what his partner wanted, like we ended our friendship.
Okay.
When I found out before we ended our friendship that I wasn't to be in their wedding, I was completely destroyed.
I remember
I was like cried and I was.
Yeah.
I remember like that moment that I found out that they were getting married and I wasn't in the wedding party. I remember like being in the shower with my ex at the time, talking to him about it, and I was like literally sobbing in the shower with him, like with such like devastation. Like I wasn't gonna be a part of it, because we did share that one like intimate moment at Asbury Park at the beach, that we talked about like our relationships and what like our wedding would look like, and how what my involvement would be in, and his verse and vice versa. And so like that was complete blindside. And the excuse that I got was that they didn't have they had enough people at capacity. I'm like, I didn't believe that. I was like, it's because your partner doesn't want me in the wedding at all.
Yeah, because clearly they had promised you like that spot, and you guys had talked about that, like, oh, you're gonna be my wedding. So like at that point, like why the flip now? Like there's clearly a reason there. It's not like if you meant that much to him and vice versa at the time, he would have flippantly thrown that out there. So there's
absolutely,
yeah, that was really kind of like it seems like it had to have been a tough story for you to talk about. I mean, just based on like the reaction. I mean, we'll play, and the people who are watching now who have not seen it yet will see. But how do you feel about having released that story out into the world? And I guess some of the reaction that you've gotten, because I posted that clip today as like, how do you feel about it?
My friends, my friend said the Academy Award goes to Meryl Streep. I was like, first of all, I cannot just cry on the dime like that. So like that was something that like still affects me today. I actually sent that clip to him today.
Okay.
And didn't receive. I don't know if he saw it yet. I sent it to his DM. So I don't know. Maybe it will get sent to him, and maybe he'll see it in the universe somehow. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just know like everything that I've ever done was always met with good intention.
Yeah.
That still today I still think about him. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty ballsy.
Because
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, are you like nervous of any kind of a response?
No, I feel like because I was able to now put it out there publicly, how that made me feel. It kind of made me feel better. I don't think we'll ever have that connection ever again if he were to reach out, because of just the distance of a relationship of our friend, or the distance. First of all, distance, right? And then I don't know what his partner, my former friend, thinks about me now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there will be any kind of dialogue like together at all. I just know that I put it out there. If he sees it, I hope that it's received like well. Just to let him know that he was an important person in my life that really made me understand the true value of friendship and what it is to have a confidant, that you tell some things to people that they would never disclose to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we share together with that no one knows,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff I know about him that probably no one knows.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump back into this and let's see what else.
It was like that really hurt me because I can't do anything to win his friendship back.
Mm,
So I have to respect what his partner wants now.
yeah.
And like I still have this like Adidas Polar Punch hoodie that he left in my house like years ago. And like I try to give it back to his sister to give back to him. And I had no communication, so I still have it in my closet. And sometimes I still wear it. It's just like a memory that I have of him.
Mm.
And sometimes like I'll see stuff. I see stuff that was sent to him that I can't.
Mm.
It really sucks.
Yeah.
It's like beyond your control.
Yeah. I can see like, well, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But it's like, that stuff is painful.
It's
you
like,
know?
it's like it's like bringing with a family member.
Yeah.
Like friendship is like it's like forming family members, and like when you lose them, it's really hard because you can't do nothing. And I know he follows like my Nono Preps account on Instagram, and that's the only way I can see him.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if I post something, he might see it, but we have no contact with each other whatsoever.
And you said it's been 6 years?
Maybe, well, I've been together with Carlos
2018.
maybe 8.
Do you feel like enough time has passed that it might be worth kind of just reaching out to try and reconnect?
I know
'Cause,
that. I know that they relocated to California, so seeing him will be a different situation. I've written him long DMs to say I'm sorry or whatever, but it was just,
and he didn't respond to those.
no.
That was that closer to when like the friendship kind of ended, or was
It
this...
was like my friend told me that I don't like the way you and my boyfriend are speaking to each other.
Yeah,
or constantly speaking to each other.
his partner
And we
friend what I just told you. Like I was driving with him to a wedding we were both invited to. I was his guest for a wedding, and he's like, "What's going on with so and so and so and so?" Like, well, I don't know. And then he's like, "Well, this person told me this is why." I'm like, "Then why didn't they tell me?"
Yeah.
And in what matter am I talking to this person? What kind of matter do you don't like? Because there's nothing sexual about it. There's nothing indicating of relationship, like nothing. It's just because it was so consistent day to day. Like, I don't know if that was a threat to him. I don't know, because it was really nonsense. Like, we just talked about nonsense all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we get into it. We discussed it a little bit, like after, like, well, when I press play, we'll see that. But I mean, I think honestly, it was one of those, like it was they weren't feeling all that great about it. It's like they didn't want you near their boyfriend because they were insecure, and that's really all it was. I mean, or at least from hearing the story.
And what was crazy at one point, because this person didn't work for a long time, and he's like, "I know you and this person are close, so if you could like keep him company and make sure he's not by himself." I'm like, absolutely. Like they lived like an hour or so away, like from me at that point in Jersey, like Perth Amboy, and I lived here. I would literally go to Perth Amboy area, and we would just like have day trips to the beach together, just hang out, or like I would go to his gym. Or like at that time, like they would order food from me at that point when I started my business. He would drive all the way to Philly to come pick it up, and then like come work out with me. So we had like a really good thing going for a while. And so like I don't think his partner understood like how intense that was going to be as far as friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, look, anybody in the chat, if you are listening to us and if you have any reactions, please let me know. I see people are in the chat, and thank you, Shay Bug, for interacting with us a little bit. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything, please pop them in there. And please be sure to give us some likes and reactions as we continue to go through this episode.
don't have a friendship that's not my fault, honestly. Basically, I became better friends with his partner than him. But it's a two-way communication thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
you can't help that.
Did he think like you were trying to like?
Absolutely not. I never intended on anything but friendship with this person.
Yeah.
We know you didn't, but did their fiance think you were like trying to get in, or
No.
it was so they weren't insecure about the relationship. They were just jealous
I knew,
about the friendship.
I knew that my friend was jealous of my friendship with his partner, because they didn't have much in common together, and me and this person did like everything, like the most stupidest shit ever. We would just send random texts about stuff and talk about things, you know?
I mean, I guess, you know, from an insecure perspective would be, you know, he's a little bit replaceable.
It's not the issue I thought he had, but it's still an insecurity thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Not to say, that's not to say that he was justified in how he treated you or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, just kind of seeing it. But like, how then do you, what happens after a breakup like that, like a friendship breakup like that? Like what do you do to kind of...
You can let time pass and see what happens. Like, I just rekindled one recently with a good friend of mine, my first gay best friend ever. Time passed. I'm in a better place, a happier place. And I just one day messaged him like, hey, we spoke on the phone. It's like nothing bad had happened. Our friendship is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just time and place.
Well, that certainly speaks to the actual friendship that was there, right? Like
Yeah.
so that's a real thing that you're able to kind of revisit. I think it's also really interesting that like some of the scenarios that you kind of shared have all been about how a friendship changes when the other person is in a relationship.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pause it there real quick. We got a comment from Shay Bug yet again. She's saying maybe it was a little jealous of the intimacy between you two, especially if the couple didn't interact on the same level.
And what level intimacy? I guess, like, as far as like just having...
I think what she means is I mean, like, intimacy can mean just being like very close, you know, not necessarily like a sexual thing, not necessarily any romantic feelings or anything involved like that, but like you guys, you can misconstrue it as you guys are kind of closer than the two people that are in the actual romantic relationship.
Yeah, I feel like our humor was what kept us like still going, because like we just laughed at anything, and like we had a lot of things in common for sure. Like, you know, I can't explain it.
Yeah. Devo Pop is saying, I'm honestly taking in how Noel is expressed the pain from the loss of his friendships. Yeah, like this was a real moment. And it was very unexpected for me. I didn't know we were going to get quite this deep, quite this touching. But hey, I mean, it's a part of our experiences, you know?
Get that emotional when I talked about it, because like I don't talk about it a lot. I suppress that with a lot of things. Like, you guys know, Carlos knows, you know, maybe a handful, but like not everyone knows how deeply that affected me now. So now, you know, it's like it sucks, because like it's like losing a family member, because like, that's how close we were.
Yeah. Let me jump in here.
And it should be the case, right? Because if we're picking good people for ourselves, they should be people that fit into our kind of entire lives. And of course it's going to be in bits and pieces. It's not like they're going to be a perfect puzzle that does every single thing, but like they should fit into your community, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I guess where I relate to that is I have really good friends. So like I have not lost any friendships, but like after getting out of my last like romantic relationship, I got two similar comments from different girlfriends that aren't in the same group but know each other, and it was coming from a very like supportive place. It wasn't like shady or mean or anything, but they're just like, oh, they're like, I feel like you're like your old self again. And I was just like, oh, that one hit. Like I didn't, but I get it. Like you definitely prioritize things differently when you have a partner.
Yeah.
And like where I'm supposed to be exactly where I'm supposed to be, so I didn't lose any relationships. That other person wasn't really present with my friends.
Yeah,
was the other way around. So it's good, and I get to make more time for them.
Yeah.
Greg, when your friend said that you're like kind of back to being yourself? Like
Yeah.
what was the change that, I mean, did you notice any change, or was that kind of, or were you kind of like oblivious to that?
I mean, yes and no. I think in any situation, whether it's with a friendship or work or like anything, like when you're removed from the situation, you can totally see it differently. Like it's so crazy how like we're in it and like we should have the greatest kind of awareness of everything that's going on, but sometimes like that's not the case. And especially with like relationships, whether romantic or friends, it's like you're definitely in it differently. You're thinking maybe emotionally and maybe not able to kind of think as logically. So in that instance, it was just like one of those things where like hindsight of 2020. So once I was outside of the situation, the relationship that was no longer kind of good or healthy for me, I was able to kind of look at it with such different eyes. And like to be fair, like with my friends, they were really supportive the whole time away. They weren't like the friends that are like, oh, that's a really shitty situation. Are you okay? You shouldn't be in that. Of course, towards the end, once things started to kind of fall apart, they were supportive. But they were just like, they could see the relationship in a way that I wasn't able to until I was removed from it. It's really that simple. So
Yeah, got you. Yeah, it sounds like that might be a bigger topic for later, like how relationships change because you're in a relationship and how the friendship, like, yeah.
I can drive that podcast, that episode.
My friend Andy was like, I knew you weren't happy at that time. You were not yourself. You were not the Noelle you were. And like now I feel like we are back to a place where like we can continue our friendship.
Yeah. It's really interesting how different people and how different energies can kind of shift what your own, how you walk through life a little bit, you know? Just trying to make.
Yeah.
So after we wrapped this episode, like we went out, right?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Andy ended up being at U Bar right after we recorded this podcast.
Oh, really?
Like literally, he crept around. Like Greg met him.
It was cosmic because he also, just for everyone else, like he doesn't live here, so it's not like you would just run into him.
He's a flight attendant. He was like, he flew in like hours before, and then like he peeked around the corner and saw me, and we both like screamed and we hugged, and it was like a reunited moment after 5 years.
Oh wow!
It was fucking insane, like insane, and it felt like so normal. It was so normal, and we still talk today. I just talked to him like an hour ago. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, it looks like we're all kind of like speaking people up.
Yeah.
Stuff okay. Even sometimes in the back of your mind where you're like, what the heck is, like you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I going along with this? But let me just make it nice because, you're trying to go along to get along, just don't want any tension. You don't want any issues. And then eventually, some stuff just kind of,
I don't think there's nothing I could have done with the friend that I lost differently. Should I have texted less? Should I have cared less? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So that actually was another question that I had, was like, what was everyone's contributions to these like breakdowns? There's always two sides to every story, and I'm big on taking accountability.
Yeah.
So, I can say like for the situation that I had mentioned, I don't actually, give me a second. Because I don't know if I was wrong. I'm big on taking accountability, but I'm just like, what can I take accountability for in this situation? I mean, I don't know. When I think about it, it's like, I feel like I followed what my therapist told me that I had friendship breakups before, So, I mean, going through my own self-work in the past, I'm like, okay, let's not just spring it up and just like blow it out of proportion. Let's like talk about the issue. And so I feel like I did that. So I don't know, but I mean, as far as that situation is concerned,
well, everything's going to be like a what if, because like even if I'm thinking about, even if it's not friendships, different things that maybe didn't play out the way I would have liked them to, I'm like, well, what could I have done differently? And when it comes to certain people, like whether it be friendships or boyfriends, like after you're outside of it, sometimes you're like, no, there's nothing if you had done it another way, it still would have been like an issue.
I felt like if I would have changed anything, it would have been like forced. If I had to force myself to engage with my friend, it wouldn't go anywhere. It'd be like, hey, wait for response. How are you? Good. It's like so dry.
It's like one of these
It was
these
that-
Hinge text exchanges.
It was that dry.
Oh, don't get me started.
every partner he's had, the two that I was close with, they were the star of the relationship. They were the most outgoing. They were like fun, and he was just very like dry toast. Dry toast. Nice guy, dry toast. And I'm not gonna try to force myself a friendship with you or continue it or trying to engage to make you feel comfortable with what I have with your partner.
Yeah,
because you're crusty with no butter.
You know,
Crusty
it's
with no
interesting because
butter.
I've been out, and I feel like we have an episode planned at some level about like being the ugly friend or being the outsider within a friend group, even though you're like in a friend group, but you're kind of like a little step apart, or you're like with somebody who's like really attractive and everybody starts talking to them in the club and you're just like sitting there with your drink and you're like, okay, well, this is nice. And I feel like what you had just mentioned kind of triggers that memory for me. Because I've had that experience, but it's also like, okay, are we going to succumb to feeling like you're less than the other person, or are you going to kind of embrace what the situation is? You know, the guy that everybody wants to be with is my boyfriend, so
right?
You know,
and any relationship I ever had, friendship, like whatever, like you'll get the best from me when it's natural. So when something has to be forced from me, it's not. I can't fake it. It's really hard for me to be like, oh, hi, how are you? And then like I can do that for a minute and then I won't continue doing that.
So another question I had, because the way that I am, if I'm like done with you, you're blocked and there's no coming back. Like, and is that toxic?
Whatever the eyes don't see, the heart don't feel kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you don't see it, it won't affect you.
That's kind of how I feel, like especially like through like social media and stuff, like your profiles and stuff, you're probably going to get blocked at that point. I don't want to see you, you know, having fun with my ex-friend on Instagram.
So petty. So petty.
Is that petty? Like from my point,
I look at it
like that. No. I'm just saying, like my ex-friend having fun with my other ex-friend on Instagram. Get the hell out of here! I'm not watching that.
I mean,
that's fine. Yeah, that's valid.
I think there's
valid.
a couple of different ways to look at that. I definitely agree. You don't want to see certain things.
I
right?
know.
But I think like for like it takes a lot for me to like block someone. Like
it really doesn't take that much for me.
So that's the thing is I think it's definitely healthy to like remove things from your feed or your life that aren't good for you, right?
Yeah.
So I mean at that point you could simply just unfollow them.
Mm-hmm.
So like if it's always like direct to the block button every time, that's when I go, I got questions for you, Jared.
Okay,
like
well,
I'm all about
ask me the question.
No, but it's just all
right, I have something to say about this. Shay Bug says, protect your peace by any means necessary. And I am actually, I mean, I'm sure, Greg, I'm sure you agree with that as well.
Oh, yeah, really. And I think I was kind of even coming to that. It just, and I think that at that point, it just breaks down of like, we kind of like operate or treat it like a little bit differently. But I totally agree. Like when there's something that's not good for you, however you choose to remove it from your life, like that's how you got to handle it. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but you asked for like, is it toxic? And it's not that it's toxic. It's just like, I maybe just approach it a little bit differently is all.
Yeah.
So, and I think you see that in my response.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like, for me, it's like if I unfollow you, there's still the chance that I would see you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of where my mentality is. It's like, or there's a chance for you, like if you're especially kind of like a nasty individual, or we just really have like a negative, like I don't even allow the door open for you to like be all up in my DMs or whatever.
Totally, and I'm not saying that I've never used the block button. I'm not playing that game or presenting that, because I certainly have. Like when I'm like, no, I don't need you having any form of communication with me. True, I'm just not a frequenter of the block button. That's all. Personally,
I got you. All right.
It's about to get cute, isn't it? This is almost
Not the way that
What were you saying?
So this isn't full enough.
Right. So I'm not going to say it's petty for you, but for me, it seems.
Yeah. It seems like a lot.
I'm not as friendly with the block button. You guys are besties.
Yes.
The friendship button, the block button and I are have had a friendship breakup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, there are certain things that I would rather not revisit. I never do it as a subliminal message to the other person. I always do it when I'm like, okay, this is done or this has become toxic.
You're just protecting yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. So you and I have a mutual friend who I actually fell out with.
Oh?
Did you hear this story?
You don't say.
I heard the story recently. I was like, I was like, it was after I'd agreed to. I was like, I don't want to know this.
I found out about it too. I was like, oh.
How did you find out about it?
Because I went to go see him and he was there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know.
He was actually staying with me for a while.
He was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, look, I don't like. My thing is, I don't have an issue with him like that, but it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. I mean, I guess honestly, I'll briefly summarize it so everybody understands what exactly we're talking about. I met a friend last summer, hit it off really quick, and we were good friends. We went to Florida together. Then we had a trip to Atlantic City for Halloween. We went to this party in Showboat, I think. There was this guy walking around in like blackface or something. Yeah. And I was like, throughout the, I was like, do you see this guy? Do you see? He wasn't even paying attention because he was too busy dancing and having fun. So I was just like, okay, this guy's crazy, whatever. So he eventually does see him, and he's like, at this point, like, we've been drinking. He's a little tipsy, whatever. And he was like, oh, I just want to go say something. I'm just like, no. Let's not even, because I'm like, from my perspective, and I don't know what his was or whatever, but I'm just like, I'm not trying to fight, get hurt, get arrested, get kicked out of this place because of this goofball who decided to be offensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's offensive. Yes, you have a right to be angry. I as I was, but it was just like, for me, I was like, what are you gonna do? So my friend didn't like that I had kind of like tried to like stop him from like going at this guy. And so he kind of said some nasty things to me and then kind of waved me off like I was nothing. And so I gave him his ID and his card, and I went back to the hotel. And the next day I just got a Greyhound back home.
A Greyhound?
So, yeah.
I'm sorry. The way you said Greyhound, I died. You're like, girl, the Greyhound.
Or like Lara in like burlesque heading to like Los Angeles.
Look, I had to get the hell out of there. That's all I'm gonna say. I had to get the hell out. Shay Buck is saying, oh, let's go to jail in a diffy state. No thanks. No thanks. And yeah, definitely not what I was trying to do. So that's all I have to say, unless you have anything to add.
No, same thing as before. Whatever you need. Protect your peace by all means necessary. I believe that was Shug's advice.
Just left early. So yeah, we drove in together, and then I left the day after. By the time I got home, he had blocked me. So, and yeah, so that's how that ended. But I will say that there's no like hatred or any. There's no deep feelings of like anger or anything with him with that situation. But I knew that I needed to remove myself.
Did you understand why he was upset?
Honestly, not really. Like, I understand like him being a little bit annoyed of me kind of defending him against like this guy who was like doing some like racist behavior.
This isn't like the takeaway from this, but out of curiosity, what was this individual's costume?
Yeah.
Again,
It was like,
it
yeah.
doesn't change it, but I'm trying to get a little more context.
It was like a Black Sox. He was like a Black Sox fan or something like that, but he had like a black painted face. So I don't know how those two go together. And I was like, maybe he was just trying to be a Black Sox fan, and then he just like, I knew like you know not to do that.
Dressed as like Sammy Sosa because he's Dominican, darker skin. Maybe
that would be effed up.
It would be effed
like,
up too.
Regardless, you know not to do that.
Like when you said blackface, I think about like when
I thought he was doing some kind of character costume or something.
When
it doesn't change it, but I would just.
Do you recall when Ted Danson did that with Whoopi Goldberg back in the day? Like he did blackface during her like roast thing. Like, he got major shit for it.
Oh really?
I don't.
Yeah, like he showed up in blackface to a comedy roast when they were together, and he got ripped for it.
Yeah. I think people need to understand that that's like not okay. I don't know why people feel like they could just come out in public like that.
Would you,
like what?
Do you? How long were you guys friends before this happened?
We were friends since like July, August. So I would say
a few months.
Yeah.
All right. So just a point of clarity, we were friends since like May, actually. So the greater part of a year, but yeah. By the way, Greg, what was your level of comfort when this topic even came up? Because I'm just like,
I could feel the pulsation of his anus next to me. That's how tense it was.
No, baby girl, I was doing my Kegels. I was not uncomfortable. There's a big difference. No, honestly, like as it goes on, and even rewatching it now, like it's not that uncomfortable at the end of the day. Like I don't know that I was expecting it to come up. Like I was aware of it, but I also like I didn't feel like it was my place to involve myself. You know what I mean? Like I know both of you individually of that, and like that's not my shit to get involved with. Like I can certainly zoom out and kind of comment on the greater thing of it, but I'm not like, you're right for this and he's wrong for that, or like vice versa. I was like, I will comment where necessary, but I was like, I'm not trying to get in the weeds with this because like I just don't think that that's my place per se. Like I was there, I know both of you individually, like I didn't know you guys at the same time. I have different relationships with both of you, so I was like, it's really not fair for me to jump in and support one over the other when I really don't know the dynamics of the friendship, and I know both of you in different ways. That's all. So at first I was like, oh, but I mean, I definitely like. I feel like as we went on, like I eased up and I was just like, okay, cool. We're having the conversation. I'll chime in where it's appropriate.
Yeah. Giuseppe says they always come back.
We're speaking them into existence.
Yeah, that's what we're
doing. You haven't blocked Greg yet because he may post your ex-friend, right, Jared?
He already posted my ex-friend. They all went to a nice Valentine's Day dinner together. Him and all of my co-hosts.
Oh,
I wasn't doing that out of any kind of like.
I know. I'm just playing, but because I was invited when I chose.
For the record, you were invited by me, yours truly, and I gave you the option coming yes or no.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, kind of seeing what I had said earlier about it not being a big problem, and I can just be in the same space. It's, put my feet to the fire. It's a little bit harder for me to kind of just like jump back into being into that same space with somebody who kind of hurt me. So, I'm not saying that it's impossible. Because like I said, it's nothing that was like life changing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that, but it was a hurtful moment for me, so.
No, it's valid, and I'm glad you kind of said that because actually, again, like if you rewind back a little bit, I remember, and again, I'm hearing it differently because I'm absorbing it differently than being in the moment. I know you were like, I blocked him. I'm like, there's no hard feeling there. There's nothing there. I was like, oh, well, if it wasn't that real, obviously, again, I was not there. I can't speak to how either of you feel like that's for y'all, if anything, to revisit. But I was like, well, if it wasn't that big of a deal, obviously we used the block button. I'm like, does that not mean there's like a window open to revisit that? Like, was it that isolated situation alone? Like, it makes me feel like there was something else there. Again, you don't have to respond to that. That was just one of my, and you kind of just said it now. Like, maybe it is a bigger issue than it casually seemed at the time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do think it was probably a little bit bigger. Just because of what was said, which I'm not going to go into on this live stream with everybody watching, but yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah. So let's just jump back on into this.
Yeah, a few months, nothing too long, but I mean, we were talking to each other like every week. We were going out like every week. So,
would you ever like reach out to Rick to like talk about what had happened or reconcile? Considering now that like there's a degree of separation of friendships now.
To reconcile, I mean, I don't know if I would want to get back to that. I think where I am now, like, I want to find people who are more compatible with me. You know, this is not to say anything negative about him, but I'm just like, I'm a different person. And we just have different.
I mean, you guys
were
compatible.
We just have very different
just
ways of being, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm trying to find people who are more in line with that. We have some common interests and we have a lot of fun together, but I don't think we can be as close as we were before.
So basically, it comes to like your morals, comes to race and things like that. Maybe you guys don't agree on stuff like that. Because before you guys had a common relationship prior to that happening.
Did. But I mean, our relationship was primarily housewives and going out.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So it wasn't like surface level, but it was like
it wasn't super deep.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. But my thing is, I don't know if I would want to get back to going out every weekend or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool to hang out once in a while. I mean, if we were able to talk through, or even if we're able to just be in the same space and just kind of pay it and just be like, okay, that happened, I'm fine with that. Like, I personally, like, it's different because I feel like I wasn't like cut to the core with that. Mm-hmm. Like, that was a hurtful moment, but like with some other friendships that I've had or some other situations, those hurt a little bit deeper. And those are some people that I would be like, no. Yeah. But you know, like how would, I don't know how he and I would get back to that place because he had me blocked and, you know, in response, I blocked him. So I don't know how that's going to come back. So
how do we solve a problem like Maria?
Get her a different name. No, but I totally understand. Like, you need to find. I get that because like even, and I don't mean to keep making things about like relationships because like it comes for like friends too. But like I think what we need and what we want out of people changes over time. And so I definitely I can't think of a specific example, but I know I've been in situations where I met people like, oh, they're really cool and they're really fun, and then after like a couple more hangs or a couple months, I'm just like, oh, you're not vibrating on the level that I need you to. Like, you're a good time friend. Like, so I mean, I definitely get like sometimes people just don't cut it for what you need.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel, and I feel like
it's a good time, and then you have an experience, and you're just like, I don't want to be part of this experience if this is a regular part of how you operate and act and whatever. So like, I totally get that. Like, okay, cool. I'm just removing myself from the situation now. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of been my story for the last year. I mean, like going through that, going through those couple of things has really kind of gotten me to a place where I'm like, okay, maybe I need to switch up where I meet people.
Well, friendships is like, it's like dating.
Yeah.
It's like
and you know,
dating.
my thing is I feel like with friendships, sometimes I jump in a little too fast.
Like dating.
Yeah, I guess, but the friends at least stick around for a little bit longer.
True.
You trying to read me? Is that what's going on? Oh my gosh. Real quick to our Instagram viewers, I just want to let you know we have about 5 minutes left on the timer here because I think with this program, it only goes up to an hour. So if you want to continue with us, I think we have we probably don't have a lot longer in the actual episode to go, but if you want to continue with us, you might want to, if it cuts off, switch over to my YouTube channel at Jared D. King or on Twitter as well. Find me on Twitter.
I don't know your dating history, but I feel like this is an episode.
That's my, it's
We
like...
actually have a special guest coming to the pod.
Well,
Yeah.
well, shit.
That's kind of my story.
I'm very cautious with friendships now.
Yeah, I am too, because it can be a lot of trouble, or it can be a lot of work. So didn't you say you broke up with like a couple or something recently?
Yes. It was a couple that we met last summer on the beach, and they were married, right?
I think so.
Yeah, they're married, and the one had his own boyfriend, and the one I was getting close to did not have his own boyfriend.
Okay.
And he and I were getting close, and eventually there were feelings manifesting, and I could not do that.
So you wanted it to be more of just like
Platonic.
Yeah.
Like I was even learning how to sign.
So like platonic sexual?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm. And eventually, like, he's like, I'm like, I like you. I'm like, well, like you do. He's like, no, but I like you. I'm like, oh.
Mm.
And then I told Carlos this. He's like, oh. I'm like, yeah. And that's one thing we don't get involved in as far as like emotions.
Mhm.
It's completely different
Mhm.
scenario. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't give you what you want.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
Yeah.
And we just fizzled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't get involved in like
Open relationship stuff.
yeah, like what's the line for you guys if
With
you don't
open
mind me
relationships?
asking? Yeah.
As long as you don't want to be friends with us for that purpose.
Got you. Okay.
And I picked up on that very quickly with you, just from things you kind of shared about trying to make couple
I don't
friends or single
judge
friends.
anyone's relationship, what they want to do, their private life, whatever. But if you want to come just to use us for that reason, then you're barking up the wrong tree.
Okay.
For sure.
So is sex still an option for you and Carlos and whomever else?
If we don't feel that,
as long as there's not like a predatory, like I don't want to say predatory, but like a using kind of.
My thing is being used. I have history with that.
Yeah,
it's not a good feeling. Carlos and I are not completely monogamous, but we're not open either.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever we feel the vibe is, the person is, or persons is.
Yeah.
We don't have much experience with it. We've been together for 4 years now.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a handful of experiences together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know what works for both of us.
Yeah.
And we just hope that people just respect us first as people, as a couple, then trying to just be greedy.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I don't like. Greed.
Gotcha.
Sex can be greedy.
Okay.
Noel, I have a quick question for you. How difficult is it to be open about your relationship and the type of relationship you have with Carlos? Because I know, it's kind of my job to dig a little bit if I hear something.
It's not difficult because we had this conversation. Things that are private with our relationship. I feel we have, a strong foundation of what we both want. I don't have anything to hide, really, and neither does he. We watch it together all the time, so there's nothing I'm saying on camera that he doesn't already know already. Is that the question?
Well, more so are you at all worried about how other people are going to perceive?
At the end of the day, I have my partner. If if no one likes the way we manage our relationship together, which is like great, then I don't care. I don't care. He doesn't judge me for stuff I do. Like, on my ex account, on my close friends, I'm very sexually liberated to feel myself. He doesn't frown upon that kind of stuff. Our foundation has been solid since day one because we put it out there, like, what do you like? What do you do? Kind of thing like that. So like we set the boundaries of like what's appropriate, and we're still navigating that today. Like as we get to know each other more, and the more that we grow together, like sometimes we are like, look, like that happened. We need to like address this and how we're gonna like what's the mature way to like make sure like this doesn't happen again or whatever. And then we are just in the mindset of just like being together. We want to be together. That's bottom line. Like nothing I feel will try to disrupt what I've been working on with him these past few years. And my intention for us is just to grow as a couple. Like we're gonna always go through new experiences, and we try to nip it in the bud. Like every time we come through a hurdle, like we just address it like two grown men that want to be together.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well said. I think we're just going to jump back into the video. I think maybe our Instagram community kind of got closed out because of this stupid program. So I don't know. If you're still there, please say something. But yeah, we're going to continue.
I'm sure we'll have more to say about like the whole non-monogamous thing at some point.
Shay Bug has a question. Have any of the boundaries changed over the course of the relationship, Noel?
As when he moved here with me, because he's such a lovely person, and Greg has met him, you've met him. Like he's very just like very very overly friendly sometimes, and like sometimes I have a third eye when I meet people, so I'm like you have to gauge people's like body language, the things they say. So like people might mistake your kindness for weakness, so you have to kind of like just be a little bit guarded with yourself, because he's very just like, sure, come on in. Hello. He's very like that, and that's a great quality he has. But because of what I've been through in the past and how I feel about people looking at us as a couple and just assuming, right? They just assume because we're so nice and like we're very affectionate with people, with our friends. We show a lot of love to our friends and family, especially our guy friends. Our guy friends, like we see them as like family members. Like we just love and care about our friends a lot. So, I just tell him just like, just be careful how much you put yourself out there to people, and some people can use that to just hurt you. And his own, like even with our own friends, like we've had set boundaries with people in the past that we met. I'm like, this is not for us.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely important to have both, to be welcoming, but to also be discerning, and I think that's
You hate to walk around like just making sure like people are having good intentions, but like we are really like a couple that love to go out to dinner with people. We love game nights. We love like having one-on-one dinners and drinks. Like, and sometimes some people, let me clarify that. Some people that are in open relationships don't want that. They don't want to really get to know who Noel and Carlos is. They just want the fun part. And I'm fun, but there's more to us than just like surface stuff. Like we actually want to build friendships and a community of people. So it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else I think we probably get into the advice portion of our episode here. So let's see what we got to say.
In one of our other episodes, but that's not the topic of this one. But what I want to do before we go is kind of get like maybe like one little piece of advice from everyone for somebody who may be going through a friendship breakup, and like what can we give to that person who is kind of going through it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Greg, why don't you start us off?
Well, I guess before getting to that point, I feel like I've been through enough experiences in life recently and have done some work on myself that it's like I'm always so like eager to jump into a relationship or friendship similar to you, and like I don't have the capacity to like turn it off, like much like you learned to sign. That was a really beautiful way of showing that you were kind of invested in this person and this friendship. Like I definitely think I have a habit of putting myself out too much with new people, and I need to let it be earned. So for me, if anything, for me personally, to avoid getting to a situation where I feel like, oh, this isn't working out because I'm putting something in and the other person isn't, and then I'm the one that's getting hurt. Like I've just been more cautious with how I let people into my lives, and just finding out early on, like, do they have the capacity to work with me, similar to the situation. Like it didn't work out, and I think now you would probably approach those situations a little differently, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's good to take accountability and kind of see what your part was in it, and then try to know better for the future. I said that I didn't know what my part was in the other thing, but I think a big thing for me was just kind of like jumping into it, getting very deep, putting myself emotionally into this place. I mean, this lasted for about 1.5 years, so I think it was reciprocated on some level, but not enough. I mean, in the end, it wasn't enough. Just try not to jump into stuff too deeply at first. Like try to invest a little bit and then see what they give back to you is what I would say. And I think that goes for like dating or anything else, like, you know, any other kind of relationship like that.
No, I agree with that, because
Invest and then test. I learned that from Matthew Hussey. He's one of my favorites. So if you get a chance, follow him. But yeah.
it's like even with you, like I reached out to Greg to talk before recording just to get to know him better. And I'm glad I did it because we formed our own little friendship.
You'll be going to dinners and stuff without me.
We cute.
Be cute.
We cute.
Sorry about it. As far as dealing with a friendship breakup, which I've had many, usually they're emotionally based, and when it's beyond your control, there's nothing you can do about it, really, unless that person wants to repair or fix or something. I don't know. You can't force someone to do something they don't want to do, or if they're not giving you something that you require, or they're not trying to cross a boundary. New people always come along, you know. That's the thing about friendships.
That's the thing. It's like try not to get too deep into the sorrow.
Enjoy the time you've had with a person.
Yeah.
The memories I have mine with my friend that I'll like obviously still triggers me years later down the road now. And those are happy memories for me. That's all I can like think about. Yeah. If I were to reach out to him today, I don't know. I would be afraid of like his partner be like, no. And I was like, you know what? Let me just avoid that.
I mean, it's already happened once, so what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? It happens again.
Yeah. But it's okay.
So we're leaving the Band-Aid on.
It's okay.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you all for joining us for this episode. Thank you, Noelle and Greg. Great first episode. So remember, until next time, if you have no one else,
you have us.
You got us.
Got us.
Did you say you have us?
I think so.
I need you to come on.
You didn't even know your own tagline.
All right. Look, y'all are never going to get that.
No. Let's be clear. That was my first episode. I got it. I don't have it.
All right. Anyway, that was our episode. I want to thank everybody for watching and joining us on the live rewatch. I think it was actually not too bad. I'm glad we got a little bit of interaction. I think I would like to continue doing this. Noelle and Greg, if you're able to join us, please jump on in and add the conversation. Our next episode I'm very excited about is about the differences between the straight men and gay men, and we brought on a couple of straight guys to talk with us. And what were you saying, Noelle?
It was my favorite. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.